Hi everybody, today is the video for our lesson from Friday, September 6th. I just had the kids get their GOM notes out, and then there are a couple of you guys that I need to see your flashcards. Now you all have been absent, sick, gone, out of town, cross country, whatever. So these are not late. You're not getting any late points or deductions for them. Giada, I got your email, or I'm sorry, I saw that you submitted something on Schoology, but unfortunately I can't see it. Like it won't let me open up the file. So I'm just going to tell you, when you come back to school, just show me your flashcards, okay? The other thing is, you could, if you wanted to, when you're in GoodNotes, click on the 4 squares so you can see all 19 of them at the same time and take a screenshot of that and just email that to me, or submit that to GoodNote or to Schoology. Make sure you submit it as a PDF, and then that way I can give you your points. Otherwise, if you want to wait until you get back, I'm totally fine with that. Just make sure you've got them and that you're studying them. Okay, let's move on. So yesterday we got to through the unit question. In some classes we did get to the rocky planet definition, and so if this is you, just fast forward a little bit and get where you need to be. All right, so let's go back to our notes. Rocky planet. So this is a vocab term. I'm going to have you highlight that in green. And I apologize, my handwriting is so bad. I don't even like to look at this, but I have a hard time writing on the iPad. It's better to actually write. And I was talking to the kids yesterday. When you're listening to a teacher and they're lecturing or they're giving notes or they're going through a slideshow or whatever, you're just writing things down fast. Don't be precious about making sure that your letters look great or whatever. These are just for you, and go back and clean it up later. That is better than slowing down the class or not keeping up because you're trying to make sure that your line is straight. Does that make sense? All right, so the definition of a rocky planet is any planet with a solid surface such as Earth or Mars. Now, another visual strategy. When you are reading a text, sometimes you come across italicized or bolded words, and those are important words or words that are most important in a definition. And you can't really do that when you're handwriting. So what I do is I will underline the key words. So in the unit question, how can we search for evidence that other planets were once habitable? That's the key. We're comparing Earth to the other 3 rocky planets. So I underline other planets because that's the important part of that unit question. And in the definition for rocky planets, I underlined Earth or Mars because they're examples. I don't have to draw a picture of that. I can just underline it and say, okay, that's important. Earth and Mars, rocky planet, example. Got it. Go ahead and pause the video, get your definition, and then move on. Okay, oh, one other thing, let me say this. Some of the kids at this point were like, I'm running out of room. Remember, don't add on to this one page. You're not going to get all the notes on one page. If you're done with this page, just move on to the next page, title it GOM 1.1, and then keep going. All right, so this is our solar system. The reason why I'm showing you this picture is because look at the heading. It says our solar system. The word system is one of your vocab words, and I'm showing you kind of an example of a system before I give you the definition, just so that that's a kinesthetic activity. You're getting an example so that when you look at the word system, it makes sense to you. So our solar system is made up of different parts. We have the planets, we have the stars. You don't see it in this picture, but all of the planets inside the asteroid belt, they're rocky planets. They all are made of a hard outer layer. And then around each planet, they have moons. Those aren't shown. We have the sun. We do have the asteroid belt, but there's also meteors and different, like all of that is part of our solar system. Remember, a system is all the parts that make up a whole. In class, we talked about other examples of systems. Think about like the digestive system or the nervous system. All of the different organs that are involved in that system are the different parts that make up the whole. Do you have a doorbell ring camera? That's part of a security system. It's a different part that make up the whole. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back oh, not yet, sorry. Rocky planets are good places to start looking for life beyond Earth. Remember, our unit question is, how can we search for evidence that other planets, not just Earth, were once habitable? So we want to look at the rocky planets because they are most like Earth. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune are all called gas planets. And so since they are so different than Earth, we won't even waste time or money. Can you imagine the billions of dollars that you would waste looking for life on Jupiter? It's just, you wouldn't even get permission to do that. It's just silly. So we want to focus on the rocky planets. Let's go ahead. These are the 4 rocky planets, and this is about their scale. So if we're just going to look at Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, this is the order that they are as they are closest to the sun. So Mercury is closest to the sun, then Venus, Earth, and Mars. And if you're just looking at the picture, and I would say to you, which planet do you want to start with? You might be tempted to say Venus because it's the same size as Earth, right? But just looking at a picture is not going to give us enough evidence to start spending time and money and resources in exploring a planet for evidence that life was once there. What we're going to do instead is we're going to work through this investigation question. How does our understanding of Earth help us learn about other rocky planets? How can we take what we know about Earth and apply it to the other 4 rocky planets? Now, I'm going to take a step back from the lesson. I want to show you a strategy. All of the investigation questions, if you remember in Amplify, they use investigation questions every single day. It's what drives our learning for the day because we're trying to answer a question by gaining evidence or looking, doing something to answer that question, which then in turn helps to answer the unit question. Notice that I have it in red. I always use red to say, hey, this is really important. On my board, when I have homework written down, if it's a homework that is worth a grade that I'm going to be grading and putting in the grade book, I'm going to write it down in red to help you see, hey, this is important. Otherwise, if it's just study your vocab terms for 10 to 15 minutes a day, then that's just going to be in black. So when you go to your notes, I want you to use red to write down the investigation question for today. How does our understanding of Earth help us learn about other rocky planets? Do you notice how sometimes my question doesn't fit in that column? It's okay to bring it out a little bit, but just try and keep it over here. And then everything on the right side, that's where we're going to include some information later on once we've answered that question with the activity that we're going to do in class. So leave that blank. Stop the video, finish writing that, and then come on back. Okay, so we're going to do an activity in class where I will give the kids cards that will give information about each one of these rocky planets. Okay, remember our objective today is that we compare and contrast the 4 rocky planets. When scientists think about Earth as a whole, they think of it as a system. It's made up of 4 different parts: the hydrosphere, atmosphere, geosphere, and biosphere. And each one of those spheres is made up of even more parts, okay? So hydro, the root word hydro means water. So it's all the water on a planet. Atmosphere is all the gas that surrounds a planet. The geosphere, this is a tricky one. I think a lot of kids, I always ask, what does geo mean? And they say Earth. I get why you say that, but we can't say that geo means Earth if we're talking about the geosphere of Mars. That doesn't make sense, right? So a better understanding of geospheres, go back to your definition, and it is all the hard surface, the rocky outer layer that surrounds a planet, okay? It includes the landforms. Landforms is another one of your vocab words. Mountains, riverbeds, anything that changes or affects that rocky outer layer, that's part of the geosphere. And then we have the biosphere. Bio means life. So any living thing on a planet. What we're going to do is write down the term system. Again, if you need to go to a different page, just go to a different page, highlight it, put GOM 1.1, and then get started. So I'm going to add the word system. For me, it's still on the one page. I'm going to highlight it green because it's a vocabulary term. And the definition is all the parts that make up the whole. I underline parts and whole because those are the important words in that definition. And I'm including examples we talked about earlier, like the solar system, the digestive system. And notice I underlined the word system. I should have highlighted it in green, but I underlined that because I'm like, hey, I'm using this word in the definition or in the example to kind of help me understand the definition. Go ahead and pause the video and get your notes. All right, so it's time for our activity. As student planetary geologists, we need to determine which planets are good places to search for evidence of habitability. That's kind of a form of our vocabulary word, habitable. We already know that the rocky planets are more similar to Earth than the other planets. So this activity is going to help us compare Earth to the other rocky planets so that we can learn which one would be most like Earth. So here's what we did. Why is that not working? There we go. I gave the kids a hard copy of this graphic organizer. It is meant to, if you look across the top, we've got all of the 4 different rocky planets. We've got Earth, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And then below each one, we've got the 4 different spheres, the atmosphere, hydrosphere, geosphere, and biosphere. The kids were divided. Let me go to this next slide. Okay, so I put them in groups of 4. Each group was responsible for one planet. So 4 kids got 4 cards that were talking about Earth. Earth's atmosphere, biosphere, geosphere, and hydrosphere. They each took a card and they each read their own card and wrote a summary of the information they got from that card in their box, which was, I gave them 2 minutes to do that. And then I gave them about 5 minutes then to go around in their circle and share their information. Here's the reason why. If I expected you guys to get information, that's 16 boxes that you would fill in. So let's cut the work in half or more than that. And let's, everybody is responsible for one box and then we share that information. Okay? So this is what we did. They went back. I'm going to give you the notes that we got to. First period was almost finished. Second period, we did not get very far. So I told the cross-country people that I was going to put a key in the folder here. I'm not doing that because your class, you know what? I am going to do that because Giada, you're going to be gone on Monday. We're going to finish this activity on Monday. I'm going to put the key in there. You guys can go ahead and fill in your charts, and then you're just going to sit while we finish the activity, and that's totally fine. Okay, so we went through and we decided each one of the 4 planets and their specific sphere. So we compared the atmosphere of Earth, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And then we said, okay, if Earth's atmosphere is a mixture of gases like nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and oxygen, Mercury has a very thin atmosphere. That thin atmosphere means that all the gases that are released from the planet just sort of float away. The bell. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you guys look at the key. I want you to look at each one of those spheres and decide which planet is most like Earth for each one of the spheres, and then circle that. And at the end, you should see which planet should we focus on to compare to Earth. Okay? Your key will be in your folder. All right. Take care.